Hey guys, welcome to another mod video. Today we're gonna mod the pokelit. It currently has oh man. Alright, so it has the Osram CULPM1.TG, and I'm gonna put a Nichia 519 in there. So take the head off, and there's a couple of grooves in here, and you just put some tweezers in there and twist. So to loosen it, you tighten it like you're going to tighten it, and then when you tighten it, it'll be as if you are loosening it. All right. So these are pretty easy to work on, in my opinion. Heads come apart fairly easily. I put a little piece of electrical tape over the contact, the positive contact, because it's kind of being annoying. All right, and then for something that's this small, you definitely want to switch out my tip. So I just use like a regular size tip for something like this. Alright, so if you buy one of these helping hands, be careful you don't over tighten this. Like, I don't know how I over tightened it, but, well, I guess in the first place, this part shouldn't be made of plastic because it just cracked. And it's kind of important, so it kind of irritates me that this is already broken, you know. So I changed the tip on my soldering iron. Get all this stuff out of the way. And now I'm gonna turn it on. And something this small, I run closer to 700 degrees, 710 maybe. Don't need a ton of heat to get these contacts off. And then I'm gonna put Nichia. This is my last domed 4500. I mean, I could put one of my 5700s in here actually. Actually, I think I'll do that. Oh, there's only two of those. All right, never mind. We're doing a 4500. Man, I really screwed up those those other ones that I tried to de-dome. I thought I did it, you know, kind of how people told me to, but I guess not. All right, so soldering iron is set to 711 degrees. Always make sure and tin your tip. And then just touch the contact and it comes right on. Oh, my wife's home, so I need to grab my dog and we'll resume. So, I mean, I literally just have to touch for a second. can see this. And this one I was able to remove. Just with heat. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so looks like that one reconnected. It's okay. All right, so I've been working with Jackson Lee, the owner of Jail Hawaii, just over the phone. We've been speaking on Messenger, and he told me every time that you take a pad off, he said, get rid of all the old solder. And with something, like the thing is, it depends. If I'm doing like a fast mod that I just kind of want to try out, then I may kind of rush and skip a couple details, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna keep this LED on here for a while, so I don't want to cut any corners. And let me see, where's that stuff? I have some solder wick wraps. So I'm just gonna get this excess solder off. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing. Let me move this over a little bit. So I heat up the solder ball, and then heating up the wick, trying to absorb the old solder. Looks like it's close enough. So, little things you do to make sure your light is done properly will definitely help you down the road. Alright, so here's my heat plate. This was $12 on Amazon. There's no adjustable heat, but luckily, like, this thing won't get too hot to the point where it would damage an LED. Alright, and I need to take this one off. Alright, so really quick with these LEDs. So with the Acebeam, this little QR code looking thing always needs to be me see here. It's on the left. So the negative's up here, the positive is down here, and it goes on the left, if that makes sense. The convoy, or I'm sorry, the Nichias have a couple of little dots right down here at the bottom. Right there, and then right there. And that means they go on the negative side. So one thing I definitely recommend doing is taking a picture of your LED's orientation before you even stick them on the heating pad. And then that way you know which way they went. All right, so about 100 degrees, 180 degrees Celsius, they come off. So that one's off. All right, that one. And then I can pretty much put this on already. All right, so this one's gonna go this way. Now, sometimes I need to add a little solder paste. I don't think I really need to in this instance. It looks like there's plenty on there. So I just swap them right over. Make sure it's nice and lined up. Beautiful. Turn off the heating pad. Push it around a little bit just to make sure it's centered. All right, looks good to me. Now what I'm gonna do, so I want to check and make sure I have a good connection. So you may not have this option, but I recommend you doing this if you have access to a power supply. So I'm putting it at 3.2 volts and 18 milliamps. So not a lot of juice, but if it's on there right, it'll light up. So there we go. So I know that this is on there pretty good. And then another thing I do is I check, let's see. Make sure there's no little solder balls around. I forgot to tell you, when I have it on the hot plate, I push down, and when you tap on the top, the excess solder will come out. So if you can, you kind of tap it pretty hard, and they'll come out. And then maybe you can't see on these Nichias. So on some LEDs you can see, so on your anode and your cathode side, there will be like a tiny line that you'll be able to see. And you just want to make sure there's nothing bridging the gap between, you know, your anode and the middle part. All right, so this is ready to go back in the pill. I'm gonna add a little bit of thermal paste, and it's just, I mean, this pill is completely made of copper. I think that's That's a really nice feature. Acebeam, I'm pretty impressed with them. That's why I did just buy the P18. I mean, yeah, it has 4 SFT40s in a tactical form. Like, 4 SFT40s in a tactical light. You know I'm all over that. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Shit. What I should have done was tin the board real quick. So, Jackson told me to get some solder paste. All I have right now is this liquid flux stuff. So I need to get some of the solder paste. So I want to add some new solder to the MCPCB. Yeah, I'm gonna take it out. I don't wanna really cut any corners here. All right. It's okay. I can put it on top of this paper towel. So I added the solder paste, or the flux. Decent amount of flux. You want them to be shiny. I've learned you don't want it to be like dull colored. You want it to be shiny. So always tin your tip. And you want to use solder with lead on it. There we go, beautiful. Nice little round blob, it's shiny. So that's a nice, that's what you want to see. Oh, what? Oh, it overheated. Oh, it got so hot that, oh my gosh, I've never seen that before, but I guess that's to be expected on something this small. That's crazy. So it didn't just come off. I mean, it did, but it came off because of how hot this board became. Oh shoot, and this is dirty as well. Okay, so we ran into a couple hiccups, and I'm kind of glad that we did, because that way you guys can kind of see how I handle stuff like this when I run into these problems. All right. So I'm using isopropyl alcohol, 100 or 99%. You don't want to use like 70% or something like that, because there's a lot of water in there that can damage the electronics. Actually, I think I'm going to add a little bit of solder paste, redo this so you guys can kind of see this. Alright, so for solder paste, I use Chip Quick. I'll put all this stuff in the description as well. It's this is lead free, and I don't recommend buying it. Like, next time I'm gonna get the stuff with lead in it. They say the main thing is just make sure and wash your hands, you know, after you use something like this. So I'm gonna just put a tiny little line. Well, actually I need to get the LED off first, so we can do this properly. And I don't know if you guys can see the shiny little balls now. checking the heat. It's about there. Right around 170 to 190 degrees Celsius is when this loosens up. And you can also see like the solder gets shiny. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is add the solder paste. It's this stuff. So I'm just gonna put a tiny little bit. And then I have heard the more the better. But honestly, I've noticed when I put a ton on, I just end up having to waste a ton. And I'm not really big on wasting stuff. All right, so check my orientation. Got those two little, let's see if you guys can see it. I don't know if you can see those two little dots on the bottom of the LED down here. So those go on the negative side, which is this side. Stick it back on there. You'll see it smoke and you'll see the solder suck in underneath it. Alright, so I'm glad you got to see me tap it. Actually, let me put this back on there. Alright, I just want to make sure nice and centered. Looks good. Shush. Gosh. Oops. Dang it. I hope you guys didn't miss that. Alright. There we go. Got the LED off. Or I'm sorry, got the LED on. So it's kind of dirty from what it's been through. It's gonna be really hot too. So I'm gonna grab it with four layers of paper towels. And then just clean it off. All right, now I'm gonna get all these little solder balls off. And they come off fairly easily. And then all this like flux, let me see. Just kind of scrape it if you want. Not that big of a deal. All right. So now I'm gonna check it with my power supply once again. If you don't have one, I do recommend getting one as they are super cheap and super handy. You can get a pretty decent one for like 50 or 60 bucks and it helps big time. There we go, booyah. Constant. All right, so it's ready to go in. Let's do this again too. Clean up my MCPCB a little bit. And I think there might even be a pokelit with this version. So personally, what I like the either the throwier one with the COLPM one, or the high CRI, and put a Nichia in there. 519. I like the Nichia 519. And Nichia, I guess, has come out with a new LED, the 719, which I'm super excited about. So that'll be a super high CRI LED, but I think it's a 50-50, so it'll be brighter and bigger. Who knows? All right. Make sure my tip is tinned well. And when I do this, I literally like heat up the little ball and try and shove the solder ball and try and squeeze the lead in there. All right, there we go. So get it all the way in there. Beautiful. Nice, good lead. Or I'm sorry, nice, good solder joint. Let me lift this up so you guys can see it better. There we go. All right. I can't really see this, so I'm gonna have to move the camera. Let's put it back together. All right, it works. Happy to see that. And just so you know, I did put a piece of electrical tape over the contact, the positive contact again. And the reason being is there was a centering ring in here and I broke it when I was trying to file it open so I could use it with the CULPM LED. And when I first put it back together after that, I don't know if the reflector was touching it, but it may have, because it wasn't producing a beam. So I don't know if it was shorting it, but immediately, I do recommend putting something over the positive contact if you don't have like a centering ring, something to keep the reflector in position. Otherwise you could short it and burn your driver up real quick. All right, let's go look at some beam shots. All right guys, here's the pokelit AA with a Nichia 519 4500 Kelvin LED. All right, so this is low. Can't really see much. There's medium. And then high. It's actually hitting the trees 100 meters away, so it's a really big hot spot, but just a really nice beam, high CRI. I'm gonna keep it like this. I like this a lot more than the 1000 lumen LED. This just looks the best to me. Better than the Acebeam. The Acebeam's fun because of the throw, but for what this light is for, just having around the house, this is the best option. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and remember to stay bright and have a wonderful day.